Spiritual love, this is really the most interesting type of love in respect that it's the one that most people don't give, yet the one that's most available to them in return. Okay? And it's very, very rare for a couple to have spiritual love between them. And it's really, really rare for a person to give spiritual love to anybody. Okay? But it's really the most beautiful love that there is. And it's the love that we're all developing and growing into having and sharing. Okay? So spiritual love is when we spread love and light and wisdom. We spread love, wisdom, and light into the world. Okay? It's a love that we can give to anyone who's interested in it. Okay? We can't give it to someone who's not interested in it. Okay? But, so we can't talk about wisdom in a way that offends a person's beliefs or anything like that. Okay? We can't give love to someone if they don't want it, you know? But we can, it's something that's given equally to anybody who wants it and who's capable of receiving it. Okay? Now, the reason, there's a lot of people out there. There's a huge percentage of the population these days, since the hippies, since the 60s, who are intent on spreading love and light. They'll even say they'll even sign off love and light. Or they'll say, yeah, what do you want to do? I don't know, I just want to spread love and light. Wonderful. Okay. It's wonderful that we have this vision in the world that we should have a role in spreading love and light. However, it's not possible to spread love and light if a person's focused on material love or spiritual or emotional love. We only can spread love and light when we're focused on spiritual love. So what I mean by that, if somebody says, I'm here to spread love and light, and my fees are so high that nobody can afford them except the wealthiest of all, and I really need the money to pay for my car and get my house payment done, so I'm jacking up my prices, they're not doing what they're doing as spiritual love. They're doing it as material love. They're doing what they're doing because they need the money. So the minute you're doing what you're doing, if the love and light and wisdom you're spreading, if you're doing it because you need money, if you're raising your prices because you need money, it's not spiritual love anymore. Then it's material love. I see a lot of people who are, trying to be astrologers, spreading love and light. They say they want to help people. They want to spread love and light. They want to give people wisdom and insight. Yet, when I see their lives, they're so much more concerned about how much money they're making per reading. They're spending more time making their websites than they are being polite to the people who come to them. They're spending, more time competing with other astrologers, complaining to me about what this astrologer did to get more readings than they got that month. They're basically not spreading love and light. They're trying to find material love. They're going to try to give something and get a material return on it. They're trying to create material, sustainable love. And so because of this, we see very, very little true spiritual love in the world. Even when people are spreading love and light, wow, $400 for a 90-minute reading. I spread a lot of love and light in that 90 minutes, and I got paid really way more than I'm fucking worth for it. Okay? That's what I usually see. And then these people, they say, oh, but I don't get enough readings, so I have to charge more. And I say, go deep, make an amazing reading. Do it for the reading, not the money, and see what happens. They jack their prices up to $500 a reading. But I can't survive if I don't charge more. And I ask them, so you've been doing astrology for what, a year, 2 years, and you have to charge $200, $300 or more? I've never charged more than $120 per reading in my life, ever. I've had people who've offered me $500 to do a reading for them. Like, oh, I need a reading so bad, I'll give you $500 if you do a reading. I'm like, no, I'm got to finish this video. I'm spreading love and light through this video. Not because I'm going to predict some events in your life that you're willing to give me $500 to pay my bills. Okay? It's not a material act for me, you know? But I see it being a material act for others. There's nothing wrong with making astrology a material act. But we need to be aware of what it is. Okay? Love, what we do with love and light, we can't help ourselves. You know? I have to teach this video series I'm doing now. I can't not do it. I'm not charging anyone. I'm actually screwing up my material life. There's really other things I'm supposed to be doing, you know, on the material level. But it don't matter. I'm having more fun spreading love and light. The material world kind of takes care of itself when you do that somehow. Miracles happen. Everything will get done that really needs to get done. So, love and light is about priority. Spiritual love is only happening when that's the reason you're doing it. You're not doing it for the material end of the stick. Sure, you can get the material end of the stick, but what's your motivation? Why are you doing it? I see people like, oh, I'm going to charge more for readings, and I'm offering these new readings. They're going to be so great. It's going to spread so much love and light. 6 months later, it's like, I have enough money. I think I'll take a year off from astrology. Do something else. See, it wasn't love and light. It wasn't spiritual love that they were giving. Okay? So, we have to be, what do we have to do to have spiritual love? We have to have love, light, and wisdom. If we have love, light, and wisdom, it comes out. We can't really hold it in. It just comes out when it comes out. It's not something that's marketed that says, oh, today I'm going to sell love and light for this much, and tomorrow there's no love and light because I have plenty of money to get me through the month. It's not anything to do about the material world. That's why it's spiritual love. Okay? The other thing I see a lot of people do, and this really makes me sad, is when I see people saying they're spreading love and light, but what they really are searching is emotional rewards. They want people to love them and be nice to them and care about them and validate them and say, you're so wonderful for doing this for me. And that's why they can't wait to get the next reading, because they want that experience with that person to get an emotional something. It's not love and light. Love and light, spiritual love doesn't need anything back. It's like, don't need it. Don't need anything. It's complete, I'm not even going to call it charitable love. It's love on the spiritual level, needs nothing back. Because see, your soul, where spiritual love comes from, doesn't need anything. Okay? And the only light and love we can give is the light and love and wisdom of our soul, in the way it's uniquely expressing love, light, and wisdom. And there's no shortage of that. When you're sick and half dead, love and light comes through. Samuel Hahnemann, who developed homeopathy, on his deathbed, he had so much resources, so much wealth, because people have been coming to him for decades to get healing. And it's not like he lived extravagantly. He didn't care. He just did the work. Healed people day in and day out. On the mental, emotional, and spiritual level, he's healing them with homeopathy. He was practicing homeopathy on his deathbed. He's in his room, dying on his bed. People are coming to him. Obviously he didn't need more money at that point. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm gonna die tomorrow. I don't need any more money to get to heaven. So come on over. And let me heal you. That's love and light. Okay. And so, why are we spreading the love and light? What's the real reason? Because it's just love and light comes out of us? Or because, we want someone to give a fuck about us and love us and care for us? Or, gosh, I need to pay my bills. That's not a reason to do love and light. you know. The biggest disappointment in my career, my life as an astrologer, has been seeing people want to spread love and light, who really just want other people to like them, and who really just want an easy way to make money. Because the reality is, one of the best, easiest ways to make money is astrology. You get good at it, the money you can make is insane. Just through doing readings, you know? I know people have made $30,000, $40,000 a month doing readings. Without a college education. No debt, no college education, make your own hours. Wow, is it a great job? And it's fine to be a good job. It's fine to make it your job. There's nothing wrong with that. Use astrology to make money, go for it. There's nothing wrong for that. Some of the best astrologers do it to make money. But don't say you're spreading love and light if that's not the motivation behind it. Okay? I don't have a problem with anyone making astrology. I just don't like hypocrisy. I'm spreading love and light, pay me $500 an hour because, you know, I'm about to get evicted. And instead of spreading love and light for $100 an hour and having enough clients to pay my rent, I have to binge watch this Netflix show, and I have to do this, and I have to get self-absorbed about this. So I really don't have time to work that much. So I'm going to do one reading for $500 and get all my materials needs met for the week. You know? That's what happens. Okay? So, we don't see a lot of people who have enough love and light to have love and light in their lives and in their relationships. Okay? Now let's say somebody actually has love and light. Okay? Which means does that mean they've gotten to a point of material abundance and gotten to a point of emotional abundance and now they can get busy with love and light? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It means somehow they found a way to be in touch with the divinity in themselves above and beyond all their bullshit, all their emotional bullshit, above and beyond their material needs. Okay? And that's not easy to do. I don't expect most people to do this. Okay? It's a hard thing to achieve, to be in touch enough with your soul that you can say, oh, I'm not going to make everything about money. I'm not going to make everything about my feelings. But to make things about your money and your feelings in a healthy, respectful way, while what's most important is the love and light of your soul. Okay? It takes time to get there. We're all going to get there. Rest assured, we're all going to get there. But if you're not, and your whole psychology is more about emotions and getting your emotional needs met and your material needs met, good. Go get them met. But realize it's not love and light. It's you getting emotional love, and it's getting and giving emotional love, or it's getting material love by giving some knowledge. You're selling knowledge. You're like a book dealer, you know? Or you're giving knowledge for emotional validation. Oh, you're wonderful. It's really good that you exist. You're worth existing. Doesn't that feel good because you did a great reading for me? You can get all that. Okay? Those are beautiful things to get. I don't want to sound too sarcastic about it. I'm just sarcastic about it because all the love and light people I meet who are spreading love and light, and really at the end of the day, they're only spreading it as long as they're getting paid astronomical amounts of money. Okay? And I always see the same thing happen with most of these people. Unless they're extremely skilled, like have an extreme level of skill, especially in predictive astrology, they struggle to survive as an astrologer. Okay? Whereas, if you do astrology because you can't help it, it's just part of your soul. Because again, you only can spread love and light based on who you are. For me, it's an astrologer. There's a lot of people out there who thinks it's as an astrologer for them. But what's the real way? Everyone has a way to spread love and light, and they have to find that way. I'm just using astrology as an example because this is my way. This is my world, and the world I see and the people I see in it. Okay? And wow, do I see a shortage of people spreading love and light. Okay? I know people who spread love and light as astrology, and make fortunes out of it. And the ones who are doing the best, you know what they're doing? They're actually spreading love and light. They're not doing it for the fortunes. The fortunes just come. When you spread love and light, prosperity just follows you around. It's like prosperity wants a piece of you, you know? But when you're doing something for money, you know what that means? It means you have to work hard. If you tell God, I'm going to do readings and make a lot of money and work hard and charge every penny I can, God says, cool, you're set. You're going to work hard and make money. I don't have to worry about you. But if you say, God, I need money, but fuck it. I'm miserable, but fuck it. I'm spreading love and light because, I can. God's like, all right, let me see. And he watches you. And he watches you. And one day he goes, all right, I got it. Boom, you're rich. Boom, you get this gift. And you're taken care of. You really, really, really are. Okay? But people get so scared because of the fears of the emotional plane, the poverty and lack in this world, the fear of surviving on a physical level. A lot of people have that fear. Or they're just so empty on an emotional level that they focus on those things. That's all they're seeing. Instead of just looking at the light of their soul. Doesn't matter how poor you are, how miserable you are, you have a soul that can spread love and light right fucking now. I know I've used the F word so much because this is a point that I feel so strongly about that I see over and over again people tripping up on this level. Okay? So, your soul has a light right now. And all you have to do is take your self-absorption away from your material fears and take yourself away from your emotional emptiness. And the minute you take your fears away from there, you'll find your light of your soul. It's not like it went anywhere. Where's it going to go? It's not like it leaves and comes and leaves. But if you focus on those other things and you decide, oh, I'm so scared of surviving, I'm going to focus and I need money, 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 sex, and gosh, I feel so empty and my emptiness hurts me, won't somebody fill my emptiness? Somebody say I do a good reading for them. Somebody love me because I'm doing something. Somebody be nice to me because I'm doing something. If that's what you see, there's this light that never goes out, and it's like, you don't see it. So, trust that there's a force in this world bigger than your heart, that's bigger than your material needs. And now if you start looking for that, you'll find it, and it'll bleed into the rest of your life. Okay? It'll bleed as blood nourishes. It'll nourish the rest of your life. Okay? I had times when I've been an astrologer a really long time. When I first started doing readings, I just did it on donation. I didn't know what to charge. I felt very insecure. I didn't feel like I could deliver. I didn't know what to deliver. I did it on donation. I sold everything I owned in my first 6 months of doing astrology. I had nothing because I didn't want to charge people $100 a reading. And I was just starting out, And I just put my faith in, all right, I have material needs, I'm going to sell this. I have material needs, I'm going to hustle this. I was hustling on the side. I didn't just say, oh, I just started doing readings, I'm going to charge as much as this guy who's been doing it 30 years, who's making $30,000 a month because he's proven himself and hoped to get 2 readings a week and survive. No, I did other things when I needed money. When I needed my material life taken care of, I did other things. In 2006, I think it was it 2006? No, 2010? I don't know, a long time ago. When I needed money, I needed $10,000 to take my family to India for my brother-in-law's wedding. You don't miss your brother-in-law's wedding in India. You got to take 5 people, $2,000 a pop. I had $5,000 in the bank. I didn't raise my rates. I didn't charge people more for my classes. They still got a 2-hour live telephone class for $10. the same way I'd been doing it for 4 years. I didn't raise my prices. I just got down and dirty and hustled on eBay. And in 3 weeks, I pulled together $10,000. And I worked my ass off for 3 weeks. I got into the material world. I didn't expect love and light to pay for my friggin' material world. When my material world needed it, I hustled the material world. When I wanted to buy a house, I needed a down payment. Did I raise my prices? No. Same as I did 4 years ago when I had to go to India. Did I raise my class prices? No, I didn't. I didn't hustle love and light. I got busy hustling other things. And in 8 months, I hustled together another $80,000 because I worked hard. I wasn't scared of working hard to get the material life done. Don't think you can take it easy because you're selling love and light. That's not how life works. Work hard for the material plane. How hard you work in the material plane is a huge part of your material value to yourself and to your partner. If you don't want to work hard on material plane, your material value has gotten diminished, and you can't expect to make up for that by hustling love and light because it's easy and you can charge up the butt for it. Okay? Charge what you can for it. But realize you have to work hard. You have to prove yourself. You have to hit the nail on the head. You have to do readings that are so good, they send their friends to you. And when you're so busy that you can't manage all the phone calls, that's when you need to raise your prices so that those people will go away and go to somebody else and give someone else a chance to build their practice. Because now you're spreading love and light by raising your prices. Because you're like, I can't do all of it. There's too many of you. But so-and-so over here is good and needs people. So I'm going to raise my prices to scare a lot of you away. And then you're going to go to other people and they're going to spread light, love and light with me. You see how raising your prices can be spreading love and light? Okay? But if you're doing it because no one's coming and so you need to make 1,000 every week and so you need at least 2 readings at $500, it's not love and light. Do $50 readings and do 10 of them. Do 20 of them. Do 20 quick $50 readings. Spread lots of love and light. Get a little bit. And over time, you'll be telling people, it's $600 because I need you to not come. Go to that person and go to that person. They're waiting to make $100 a reading. Okay? So this is a really important thing. Okay? So, don't think love and light is about your material life. It was really funny. I did a lot of work in astrology because I loved it. I couldn't quit. I worked. I did. I produced. I wrote. I taught. I just couldn't stop myself. It was just, my soul wouldn't leave me alone. Wouldn't let me go to the beach, And we had struggles with money for years, And sometimes I would think, I should probably, try to figure out a way to get more people to come for readings, or I should try to find some more students. But I thought to myself, why should I do that? I said, I've done so much. I've been working hard. I've always managed the material life. And our quality of life is like really kind of, just getting by. I thought to myself, God can make me wealthy anytime He wants. It's up to Him, forget it. I'm inspired to study this and then teach it next year once I've learned it. And I'm not going to try to figure out more ways to have money. And that's what I did. And then one day God decided to double my income overnight. In 1 week, my income doubled overnight. I don't think it would have doubled overnight if I'd been so focused and trying to make every hour give me the most money I could possibly get in order to have a better life on the material level. I was driving 900 cars most of my life. Didn't matter. It's not about driving a better car. It's about when you recognize that there's a light in you that you can spend time with. And no matter what's happening, it'll make you feel better. And it'll make other people feel better. Then it doesn't matter if you're driving a $900 car. It doesn't matter if your car breaks down sometimes. It's not that big a deal. Because you've got this light that will never go out, that you're playing with inside of yourself. And that you're playing with when you're hanging out with other people too. And that's when life becomes the most beautiful. Okay? So, if you only have energy to work and spread love and light when you're making money, it's not love and light. Love and light is when you can't get out of bed. And then this idea comes in your head of love and light and wisdom, and you get up and you talk about it and you feel wonderful. And as soon as you're done, you pass out and go back to sleep. I'm sure that's how Hanuman was on his deathbed, just sitting there like half dead, you know. Somebody comes in, his whole system sparks up, his mind gets clear, he studies them, he asks a few questions, 20 minutes later he gives them a remedy that cures them, and then he probably just passes out again, until the next guy shows up. Because he's literally on his deathbed, days away from death, working until the day he died. And you don't, if you're not getting out of bed, it's because you got nothing left physically. But then the love and light can just come through. Your light can just light you up for what you are, for the love and light that you are. And to feel that is what we're all ultimately here for. To play with that love and light that we are. To share that love and light with the world. To be a beacon to ourselves. To be a beacon for others. And that doesn't come if our priorities are confused. Okay? And I'm not chastising people for selling astrology and making money as an astrologer. I'm chastising anyone who is selling astrology and saying it's love and life. That's all I'm saying. Get your priorities, get your definitions right. Know what you're doing, know where you're at. Therefore, when you know where you're at, you know where you can get to where you want to be. If you lie about why you're doing things, you're never going to get to anywhere useful or where you want to be. Okay? Then your life is based on bullshit and lies. And people realize it. And then they don't want to come to you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to see you. Because you're not a beacon. Okay? Alright, you're a hypocrite. Alright, so, I know, I'm being tough on people. But I understand how these fears, some people have grew up in such poverty. There's this poverty consciousness of fear that all they see is the possibilities of poverty. It's really hard to pull away from that. How do you do it? You find your light and trust in God. You can't do it without God. It ain't going to happen. And there's been people who have been emotionally tortured since the moment they popped out of their mother. Actually, 9 months before that, they're already being emotionally tortured because of being in their mother and all the stuff that was happening to her and all the things they felt by being in her. Who've never had any cause to believe that they can do anything except fight and scrap for every bit of emotional anything that they could possibly get in this world. That's what happens. But we have to remember we have a superhuman ability to find something in ourselves that'll make all that stuff okay. And that's the light of our soul. And we have to find that thing, connect to what it is. And it's in the uniqueness of who you are. It goes back to that sun. And then those things will take care of themselves. And the only reason you're not finding that, the number one reason, is because you're focusing on the material lack, focusing on the emotional lack. It's that a material absorption and that emotional self-absorption. That's the greatest barrier to your happiness as a spiritual being. So by stopping doing that, most of the work is done. Like I said, the light didn't go out and you have to turn it on. You're just not looking there. You're looking at these other things. Okay? We all need work on this. We're all here to become capable of spiritual love. Okay? And we don't have to have spiritual love in everything. We can be a monster in everything else and be able to have spiritual love in one thing. And that one thing will save us and make our life not a waste. Okay? You're not going to be able to make everything in your life work. None of us can. No one does everything right. Okay? But if you can make one thing and find one thing of love and light, you're going to have a spiritual love that will make your existence worthwhile, no matter how horrid the rest of life is, no matter how wrong the rest of your life happened. When you die, you'll still go, damn, I'm glad I came. I feel good about my journey through this dismal desert of destruction, if the rest of your life is that bad. Okay? So, what about love and light, now that we've really defined it and spent so much time defining why people don't have it, because their focus is too much absorption on these other things, and then confusing love and light with those things, is how do we have love and light between people? Okay? Well, one way is when two people share the same vision of love and light, they can do it together. The most common way of this is purposefully having children. Having children is an act of love and light. Okay? I'm going to bring this light into this world called Benji, or whatever his name is, And I'm going to nurture and care for this light. And this light will shine in the world and light other candles as it proceeds through its journey. It's a beautiful way to have love and light in your life. It's the default plan. As mammals, that's the default plan of spreading love and light. Okay? Of course, people are most successful with that if they've got their material love and their emotional love sorted out. But even if they just have emotional love, they can do it. Okay? It can be done. But the only thing that really is required for doing that is that a person has to realize that's their method of expressing love and light through the creation and nurturing of a child. I have a friend, I'm going to call her a train wreck. I mean, it's like this girl's life is not working. And you know what? It doesn't matter, because this girl realized that her child, having a child, was her love and light. It's her sustaining light. She has a beautiful relationship with her child. She's a single mom. It's an act of love and light. She wants to have more kids. She'd be happy with 3 kids as a single mom. If she could pull it off and no one would starve, she'd be probably happy doing that. She really has learned that love and light, the biggest priority of that is the raising of a child, the nurturing and care of a child. And that's a beautiful thing to see. Doesn't matter what else happens or doesn't happen in her life. Doesn't matter how crazy she is in every other department of her life. This is the sustaining light. She found the beautiful spark of her soul. And the rest is all bullshit at the end of the day. The rest don't matter. So, this is a really common way. And you can share this with a person directly through consciously having children. Not something that happens a lot these days, right? Not something that happened a lot in the past. In the past, it was like, well, we're supposed to have kids or else all the relatives will be upset and the throne won't have an heir. Well, that's like, okay, that's material. That's making children material. That's not making children love and light. Love and light is where you have an instinct to create life and to care for life. And that's not an instinct everyone has. That's not how everyone is going to spread love and light. But for those people whose that's it, it's awesome, because I know 2 single moms who got stuck as single moms, and they don't even care. I mean, they care. It's hard, of course. They've struggled, and they will appreciate any charitable love on the material level they can get. Okay? But they have this light that sustains them. There's a reason they haven't jumped. There's a reason people come up to them and say, oh, this is beautiful what I'm seeing. There's a reason people at the store talk to the daughter. You go to the store and some kids, and you look at them, you want to run because that kid needs so much help and is like so tormented, and you go, this kid was not a product of love and light. And then there's a kid that's like this little sparkle that was raised in love and light, you know? And, you know, then another woman I know, a beautiful woman, really fantastically beautiful, greatly intelligent. Her husband ran off after they had a kid. He wanted it. And she found she loved having a baby. And she doesn't care. She has this child she's raised for, you know, it's been a long time. He's grown up now. She raised, that was like the meaning of her life. And so it's a beautiful thing when someone can find this old-fashioned ideal as the meaning of life. Men feel it too. I don't see that as much because as an astrologer, you know, most people come to an astrologer, a woman, or men who want money. I don't really care about financial predictions, so I rarely deal with men who want money. I deal with men when they're sick more often, or when they are actually, you know, concerned, as are women, of love and things like that. So I see so many stories more stories of women, but men are equally capable of that. And if you get a man and woman who are equally capable of that, and have developed a foundation of emotional love to where they can be with each other, they're the ones who are going to bring in the souls who have the less adjustments to make. Bring in the souls who have the less trauma to process. Okay? Yogananda had a beautiful family. You know, his parents very much, all the kids were a product of love and light. And, you know, he has, you know, two of his brothers are are responsible for reawakening Hatha Yoga throughout India. They traveled around India, getting people interested in Hatha Yoga, you know, the physical stretching stuff. Yogananda, of course, was one of the first people who came west to really teach yoga in a huge, lasting way. So, beautiful souls come out of this, of love and light. Okay, you attract a beautiful soul, that's what you're really doing, because that is your love and light. Okay? But everyone has something, a way they can spread love and light. And it can be it can be simple, it can be huge. It can be something that they don't even know they're doing. You know? But love and light is simply that what we do that makes the world better because we're here. That's what love and light and wisdom does that, but it's love and light. What are we doing that makes the world a better place that we're here? Monet, he spread love and light. Because when the first time I saw Monet painting, it was really one of his best ones, one of those lilies. It was like this intense feeling of realizing that to the degree to which divinity can flow through another person. And when you feel that, it opens you up to possibilities that you never would have thought of before. You know? You know, I wish I could think of more examples of how people spread love and light. But the sad thing is, we don't see a lot. Because people get absorbed in their material life. They get self-absorbed in their emotional emptiness. They're not discovering their love and light. So, we have to pay a lot of attention to finding the light that we can bring. I would love to see light in many, many flavors, many, many colors. In my world, I see a lot of astrologers spreading love and light. One of my favorites is Lada. I love Lada. She's awesome. And you know how I know she spreads love and light? Because I hardly know the girl, and I love her anyway. And I spent very little time with her. Our paths have bumped every once in a while. And I always laugh at, why don't we ever do more together? And it's because we're both spreading love and light in our way. She's successful, she's prosperous, she can't help but do what she's doing. And yeah, she's banking on it. She's raising her kids on it, as she should be. But she's not doing it for that reason, you know? And so I see a lot of astrologers. She's like one of the biggest example I know who does it. KRS, crazy old KRS, super fun KRS, he can't help himself. He can't stop from teaching something else to excite you about astrology and see something about yourself or your chart that you didn't know before. He can't help himself. He doesn't have to work that hard. He just can't help himself. And these people don't have perfect lives, but they're spreading love and light, which means they're as perfect as we can get in this world. All we can do in this world, all we can hope to do, is spread love and light in accordance with the light of our soul. And when we do that, the rest of our life's still going to suck and be full of problems. But it's going to be a worthwhile life. It's going to be a life that's enviable and that's worth living. Because the only life that's worth living is only life that's enviable is a life that has enough meaning to make it worth living. Okay? So, when two people can, support each other in spreading love and light, then they have love and light in their relationship. Okay? I support Lada. I do a few things for her sometimes. She has done a few things for me. We do support each other a little bit on love and light. Why don't we support each other more? I guess we don't need to. That's the beautiful thing about love and light, It comes according to the need of the love and light. It's not like our emotional needs where they're like this constant, I need you to be around and I want to share with you every day. And I kind of notice it when I don't get to share with you. It's not like that. The souls know, the souls are doing their love and light. And they're not missing each other. And they forget each other's birthdays and don't care. And when they talk, they come together and they're happy that they're together. And whatever they're sharing about, it feels good. Okay? Different relationships can have more spreading of love and light than others. Okay? There was a guru, Anandamoyi Ma, and in India, and she was one of my favorite types to fool, someone who's lost all awareness of reality. Everything is God. And her husband, who she was married, arranged marriage, of course, in India. And when she started developing spiritually, he just took care of her. He puts food in her mouth. He would put food in her mouth so she wouldn't starve, because she's not even aware enough that she has to eat, aware of this physical world enough. She's all just love and light. No, not even words, just love and light. And he keeps her body alive. He maintains the lighthouse. He's giving spiritual love by being her caretaker is what he did. And so he supported her in spreading love and light. So some people get really fortunate to have a partner that will be willing to support them in love and light. So their love and light. I remember once I was trying to break the Jaimini Sutras. I was like killing myself. I couldn't even afford diapers, And I went to Srishti and I said, gosh, I should probably promote and get some more readings so we are not in such dire physical and material ways, And she's like, it's okay. Just do your Jaimini Sutras. And so, by saying that, she supported me in discovering my light in Jaimini and spreading love and light. If she had said, it's about time, we're starving here, start hustling business, raise your rates, we need more money, I'm sick of living in this shitty apartment and driving that $900 car, and you have to do this or else, then I wouldn't have had the time. I would have had this pressure of, how am I going to follow the light that I couldn't help myself? Jamie was saying, you have to look here, you don't get to do anything else, you can't think about anything else, your life is over except for doing these Jaimini Sutras. It was really funny. There was one sutra I was stuck on, it took me 2 years to figure this sutra out. And it was just contemplated in my head, the words. And I'd be hanging out family time, not doing what the Tao Te Ching said, which is in family time, be present. No, I wasn't present. that mantra. I was contemplating that, not that mantra, that sutra. And she would go, "What are you thinking about?" I said, "Oh," I would say, "You, of course." And she'd laugh at me and she would quote the sutra. I'm like busted. It was like a joke between us sometimes. And, in doing that, she supported me in discovering my love and light. And so you can do this with each other in a relationship. You can support each other. This is your love and light. Let me not drag you down. Let me not force you to get materially self-absorbed. Let me not force you to be emotionally strung out and absorbed in this emotional stuff when you have love and light to focus on. And not a lot of people will do that for each other. I had 2 girlfriends that were saying, "We gotta stop this astrology nonsense. This is bad. This isn't good. This isn't spiritual. Evacuate. Where's the evacuation button? But what if I'd had kids with one of those girls? I couldn't have pushed the evacuate button. So when we see our partner finding their light, there's nothing more important to that. You say, "I'll find a way to pay the babysitter." Go do it. "I'll survive a year without you." Go do it. The number one thing you want your partner to succeed in is their love and light. But not everyone has found their light. And so, if both people have found their light, and both people are supportive and useful to the other person finding their light, they have spiritual love. Shrishti, so often she helped me. I would be doing a research and I needed something programmed, and she would stop whatever she was doing, she'd program that for me. And then the joke is, how many times have I, recalculated the Lajitati Avashta screen? I'm like, it's the last time. And it's never the last time. And, so we can support each other, because in the end of the day, the most important thing we can do for anyone is support them in their love and light. Unfortunately, a lot of people are so self-absorbed in their emotional emptiness, so scared on a material basis, that they don't do that for themselves, and they don't do it for each other either. Okay? But if you're a person who recognizes the beauty of following light above as more important than the mundane affairs of the world, then you can give this to each other. And to give it to each other, each person has to know their light. Each person has to see their light, be in touch with their light. And then they can support each other. And possibly, their light will come together. Possibly the way this person the love and light this person has to spread the world, and the love and light this person has to spread the world, synergizes. Like having a baby. They both want to bring love and light into the world as a child, so they make the child together. People can do that with in spiritual love too. And if they do it together, if they become mutually dependent on the process together, if they're able to bring more love and light of the type that matters, that is both of them together, that's going to create a whole nother deep bond. And that's the rarest thing you're ever going to find in a relationship. In most relationships, you'll find 2 people who emotionally get along together to provide something emotionally, and spend most of their time finding joy in their own lives. And then they come together a little every day. Okay? That's good enough in this world that most people are happy to have that. Okay? Some people are finding their path to joy very merges, and they're spending a lot more time together doing things that make them happy. Okay? Because what makes me happy makes you happy, we could do it together. And then some people, the love and light they have is something that is synergistic, and then they have a whole nother bond that most people are never going to experience. Okay? So, as in all things, in order to have a type of love, we have to have the ingredients. Okay? The ingredients for spiritual love are having love. Having love that's not about you surviving materially. Having love that is not about you being loved by something in the world. It's about actually having love. A deep capacity to love and care. And the compassion that comes with that. And perhaps wisdom. I don't think it's possible to have love without wisdom. You know, they come hand in hand if they're real. Okay? But some people will show the love part more, other people will show the wisdom part more. Yogananda loved to show the wisdom, the love part. Sri Krishna hardly showed love. He showed the wisdom part. That was the way he showed love. Okay? So you have to have something that's light to offer. Something to offer the person that can raise them up. That's what all wisdom is. One person's wisdom is different from another person's wisdom. Mark Twain was considered very wise. He said lots of things that people hearing it go, aha. He spread a lot of wisdom in the world. Now to someone who's in a different, dealing with different things in a different level of consciousness, Mark Twain's words won't be useful. Okay? So the wisdom we have to spread is not necessarily going to be useful to another person because their path requires a different flavor of wisdom. Ultimately, all wisdom leads to the same things. But everyone has different taste buds when it comes to wisdom. And so the only wisdom that matters to somebody is the wisdom that feels good, that tastes good, that works for them, that's going to guide them on their unique path. Okay? And that's why, you know, we never are going to have just one religion. Okay? And then the person has to have light. What is light? Light is simply an energetic aura that comes from a person having love and wisdom, from a person, you know, connecting to the light of their soul. That people are just going to generally kind of feel good around them. It just feels good. You see the person like, oh, I just feel better since you showed up. You know, just kind of nice. There's yogis in the Himalayas who just sit there and meditate. They're churning out all these good vibrations that help everyone on earth. You know, they're just churning out meditation, and those vibrations help us. So anyone who has a higher vibration than another person is spreading light to everyone who has lower vibration than them. But they're not going to spread light to somebody who has a higher vibration than them. So our ability to give love and light basically depends on our vibration. Where are we at in our spiritual development? Okay? We're all somewhere in our spiritual development to be a source of light to everyone else. Except maybe, you know, those few serial killers, you know, who, you know, kill 40 people for fun. But really, even those serial killers, I'm sure some of them give love and light to a puppy, or a dog, or a cat, or a goldfish. They did. It's not possible to be a human and not give some love and light to something in this world, to some living being in this world, if only a plant. Okay? So, depending where we're at, it's our spiritual responsibility to connect to the light of our soul, to the vibration that we're expressing in this lifetime. And through connecting to that, raise other people as we are getting raised, as they are getting raised, as they are getting raised. Because we have one chain, we're all connected, you know. Everyone's vibration is lifting everyone else up. Okay? So no one is not capable of giving love and light, and even wisdom, you know. You know, sometimes in movies like to have these characters, you know the kind of mean, these characters that you're like almost revolted by. then they say it's this wise thing that helps the character along its way. You know, we all have a place in this world to spread love and light. But we're not going to find that place if we're focused on our material fears and we'll self-absorb in our emotional voids. Okay, we have to step out of that and realize there's more to us than that. We have a light, and we need to get in touch with it. Okay, how do we get in touch with it? We get in touch with it through spiritual development. If we just focus on the emotional, we get lost in the psychological morass, and we just get depressed. Because when you start going to the psychological, you realize how screwed up you are. You know? And it'll seem utterly hopeless. Like when I had Pluto transiting my 4th house cusp in 1994, in the winter of 1994, like December-ish, I just realized I was so friggin' hopeless psychologically that I was hopeless. I'm like, dude, because I was learning astrology and I learned all these things about myself. I'm like, you're a hopeless, tangled mass of utter, just tangled, useless string. Okay, there's nothing that can be done with this tangled mass that is your psyche. That's how I saw myself. And I thought, well, shit, I can't unravel this. This can't be unraveled. To unravel that, I would just lose myself in the tangle. We get so much into our psychology, we can lose ourselves in that morass of depression and ugliness. And I said, screw it. I'm going to light this baby up. You know? And what I meant by that is, if you have a gem, which is your soul and your joy, and it's tangled up in a mass of tangled string that no grandma, no matter how good she's gotten, is untangling her sewing string, could ever unravel. And you want that gem? Easy. You get a lighter, you light it, and you burn it. You forget about that shit, and you focus on what's inside, and you use fire to get to it. And so I went to the ashram for 8 months and meditated 25 hours a week. You know, that was me lighting it up, burning it. Meditation is tapas, it's fire, it's heat. It burns this crud out of our system. And so we do need to do spiritual practices to get in touch with that light. Oh, and when I was in the ashram, so I couldn't even do Western astrology anymore. Because I'd look at my chart, I'd look at anyone's chart and I'd get nausea. Because I would see their psychology staring back at me and I would go, this makes me ill. And I had to quit doing astrology, which I had trained for the last 3 years to do. And then I do my first reading, my first, that wasn't just a free, casual, fun reading. And this happens to me. And I couldn't even read a chart, I couldn't even look at a chart. But within a short time of being in the ashram, I had a dream about Vedic astrology. I ordered Brihat Parashara. I met a guy who I talked to about astrology. He liked what I had to say. He's given me a whole library of astrology books. He gave me his astrology software. He gave me $1,000 when I left the ashram so I could get a rental and start doing astrology. All unasked for. You know, I didn't ask for any of this. He just calls me, he just comes up after lunch. I called my mom in Italy. She's sending my whole library to you. I'm not going to do astrology. I'm going to be a monk. It's all yours. I'm leaving the ashram. He comes up. Here's $1,000 so you can actually not live on the beach. You know? And because all I had was my car. I had nothing. I didn't have $20 when I was leaving the ashram. And so, you know, we have to burn through that bullshit through our spiritual practices. Find a spiritual practice that vibes with you, that grips your soul. And churn it and do it. And it'll help burn past these things that we can get lost in, that ball of string, that emotional ball of tangled impossibility that you can never resolve. And then you're on a path of healing. And once you have a little bit of light, just one thing that can give you some light to sustain you, you're going to be able to overcome all those emotional challenges. You'll be able to overcome all those material challenges in time. Right away? Hell no. I was poor until I was 43, Not right away. One day in time. It'll all happen. So we have to develop, we have to find that part of ourselves. We have to have faith in life, faith in God, faith in something outside of our little brains and little muscles to provide for us if we're going to be able to let go of those material fears and let go of those emotional emptinesses and find our light and spread our light, as bad as it can get. It can get so bad. We can feel so bad. Trust me, I know. And I can think of times where it was so bad, I was like, there's no way I can keep going. There's no surviving this. I don't even want to survive this. Why would I want to survive this? And then there's this little part of me that would just say, this little glimpse of faith, that would say, God is taking care of you. And you're like, bullshit, it doesn't feel like it. But there's this little glimmer of faith in life, and this little glimmer of faith that kept me going over the edge many, many times, And I wouldn't have been able to discover or see that glimmer if I hadn't taken the time at some point in my life to tune into my own light just enough to keep me alive on a road that got harder than I could have ever imagined it was going to get. Okay? So you're not going to be happy right away. You're not going to have bliss right away. But you're going to have the ability to find your light. Through that light is the light where through that light you see God, you see faith in life. To be a light in other people's lives. It always blew me away how, in my worst, most unhappy days, people still saw me as helpful to them. It's like, really? How can this be? I was dealing with so much stuff internally that I don't know how I could have been useful to anybody, but people, somehow it was. So I'm not saying that once we are able to give some people a little light and wisdom and love, that we're not going to be hurting units. In my experience, you still will be. I know Jung made comments about, and Jung, of course, was such an important person in bringing light into this world, in a really ignored part of the world in respect to the man's inner life. And, he said there was times where the transformations going on with him were so intense. He said the only thing that kept him from not being there was his family. Because it could get so intense, it's like, whoa, the stuff we have to work out can be that hard. But when you have a family, you don't get to just disappear. You don't get to jump off a cliff, And you stay there and burn it and work it out and find the greater light. And so a family can help a person, in their spiritual love. A family is a useful thing to keep a person alive when they'd rather be dead. Because the stuff we have to work through is that intense. But through surviving it, we find greater light within ourselves. We have more light to offer others. Okay? So this is an intense topic. It really, really is. It's important. If a relationship can survive with material and emotional love. It can survive just with emotional. But it'll be more fun if you can also go on vacation whenever you want to, Relationship doesn't have spiritual love, but like as an active shared thing. But a relationship that people need to have their own spiritual love. Everyone needs to spread love and light. If not, we will notice a vacuum. And in that vacuum, our relationship can get lost. Even if it has emotional love, even if it has material love, in the vacuum of spiritual love, meaning if a person doesn't have spiritual love, they don't have the qualities of spiritual love, if they haven't found their light, if they're not aware of their light, then the relationship may not last. Things could go wrong still. Because there's times that if you don't have your spiritual light, even in a place where emotionally things are pretty good in your life, you can be having emotional love, but you still have all your baggage, you still have all your stuff. And when that stuff comes up for review, and you don't have any anchor of your own light, you might just blow your whole house up with everyone in it emotionally. You just might ruin it all. Okay? And because emotionally we can become that volatile, that extreme, when the pains really start building up. And if you're on earth, the pains are probably really going to build up to that degree at some point. And then you're going to have to resolve them. And spiritual love is what helps us survive that. It's a huge part of it. Okay? So, find that commodity of love and light that you have. That light that makes you feel, okay, you're going to survive. That gives you faith. You know, because I experienced this, I know I can have faith in life. I know that I can just imagine Monet as a painter, you know, just going and painting a painting, and in painting that painting, getting the feel of the universality of life, and getting the feel of knowingness. There's something bigger that's not all about him, and therefore everything's going to be okay. That's really the message our soul is giving us. Everything's going to be okay emotionally one day. Everything's going to work out materially. Have faith. We can actually do things that make us get that feeling. Okay? When we do something that we're inspired, the feeling that comes through is one of power. It's our divinity. It's the power of our divinity. And that power gets us through all this hardship of life. Okay? I know Monet, when he painted, he felt that power coming to him, through him, and then he knew everything in the universe would work out. Because you can't be in that place and not realize it. It gives you such a high. It's this inspired high. You know, why do people get high? To give them the illusion everything's going to work out. The high of inspiration, when you are inspired by your light and not just by excitement for something mundane, it does the same thing. It lets you know everything's going to be okay, everything is good. And but it's real. It's not a hallucinogen. Okay? It's not a figment of a drug state. Okay? So we all need to find this, and it can be just in the littlest things. Say someone who loves to cook. Yeah, of course, you're a woman, you should cook for me. No, I'm not saying that. You love to cook. You're inspired to cook. And you go into that kitchen and a little miracle happens. Just a little miracle. Like you screwed something up and you made the best dish ever. And you see this little miracle happens in front of you. You know? We all need to experience miracles, basically, is what I'm saying. You know? I taught a Shadbala class. How did I learn the Shadbala? I had 3 hours one day at an ashram. I said, I'm going to go think about Shadbala. And I lay down on my bed and I deeply thought about all the astronomy behind Shadbala. And in 3 hours I created this miracle course. And I had this understanding of Shadbala that I haven't changed since I taught that course in like 2004. And it's like, wow, that's a miracle to be able to contemplate astronomy and come up with some truth that apply to us little humans. And when you see miracles like that happening because you put intention into something that you're inspired in, you start realizing the universe is a much better place than it seems. It's a place of miracles. Just in the littlest things that you're inspired to do, that weird things happen to encourage you, to show you that there's this power available to you, that your soul is present, which means God is present in your lives. And so we all need to do the things we're inspired to so we can taste those miracles. I wouldn't have survived if I hadn't tasted those miracles, if I didn't know, if I hadn't experienced miraculous events. And yes, making a cake that turns out better than ever to someone who's inspired to cook, It's like, wow, how did I do that? This doesn't make sense. I shouldn't be able to do that. It's a miracle. Little miracles are an important part of our lives. Okay? I know this sounds like kindergarten, grade school bullshit, doesn't it? But really, we need experiences in beauty and miracles. And when we find the light of our inspiration, we're going to get those. We're going to impress ourselves. We're going to go, wow. We're going to realize there's no way. That happened somehow, but it couldn't have been up to me. You know, so much in readings that would happen. I remember someone asked me to write 10 case studies. And so I said, okay, I'm going to get my coolest 10 predictions. And I'm going to write my case studies about them and how I predicted the day the event happened. Well, one of the events was I predicted the day a woman was going to meet the guy she was going to marry. And that's all she said. She was brokenhearted. Her boyfriend dumped her cold. And I looked at her chart and I said, you know, usually when a woman is in your situation, a relationship ends, I have 20 million things to tell her about what she needs to do for love to work because she's so incapable of love. I said, but you, my dear, are beautiful. There is nothing for me to tell you that you need to do. And I'm sorry you're hurting. This didn't work because it was his loss. It's not your fault at all. I said, the only thing I can tell you is that on January 28th, you're going to meet your husband. So I can just give you that consolation. Okay? January 28th, her husband walks in, a guy walks in with flowers, says, I'm here to ask you out. A year later, the friend who referred her to me calls and said, so-and-so got engaged yesterday. So it was time to do my case studies. And I pulled that chart out, and I looked at that chart, and I looked at that chart, and I looked at that chart. And I could not, for the life of me, remember how I predicted that. I'm like, I would never, ever predict that this person was going to meet a person within 3 years of that date, you know? With all the astrological knowledge I knew at the time, the calculations, I could have never predicted it. And somehow I looked at that chart, it was clear as day to me that January 28th, you're going to meet your husband. So when we do, as an astrologer, you can watch these miracles happen, you know? And then you realize that, wait a minute, there's something going on here that's not just about my little muscles and my little arms, my little muscles and my little brain. There's something else going on. And we can experience that in anything that we're inspired to do, okay? If we focus and find that part. So we all need to focus on that. The world, we're all in desperate needs of witnessing ourselves in miraculous situations, you know? One of the reasons I think a lot of people do these extreme sports is, wow, do you get into miraculous situations, you know, when you're doing extreme sports. You know, you should have died, but you don't. Somehow your body finds a way. It's a miracle. Remember once I was rock climbing and there was this climb I couldn't do, and it was above a river with big boulders in the bottom of the river, and I couldn't do it. I was with my friend. He did it. I couldn't get up it. So a week later, I went back out there alone, like an idiot. Never go rock climbing alone. And I went out there, and I decided I was going to climb this thing. And I got up there, and I was like 15 feet below the rocks on the river bed, and I couldn't go any further up. I was like hanging off these little things, and I had my little feet stuck into tiny little cracks, and I didn't have a rope. I was all alone on this, 20-foot cliff, not that high, but high enough to die and high enough to hit your head on the rocks and drown in the river, right? So I was in a pretty dangerous place, and I couldn't get up. I did not have the strength to get up any further, so I said, I'm going to go down. And I tried to go down, but climbing down is harder than going up. So I tried to go down, I couldn't go down. I tried to go up, and for like a while, I was going up, down, like my leg was going up, down, trying to decide what to do. And my hands are starting to shake, and my other leg's starting to shake, and my hands are getting so weak I can't even feel my forearms. I'm like looking at the ground going, all right, I probably won't die. If I don't get knocked out, I'll probably just break some things. There's no way I can land well on a pile of boulders in the water, but as long as I don't get knocked unconscious, I'll live. And I was really preparing myself to break a few bones, Then all of a sudden, boom, I was on top of the rock. And I don't know how I got on top of the rock. But somehow my body just did 2 movements. Boom, boom, and I was on top of the rock. And it was a miracle. Some part of me knew how to climb that rock that I had no knowledge that was even there before. So I think there's a reason people do extreme sports, do stupid things, because they experience miracles in doing this. And when you experience a miracle like that, you go, wait a minute, God, actually, there's something out there. You know, I should have died. I should have broke some bones, but I'm totally fine. So it's important to find these things. Live an adventurous life. Discover the world of miracles. And we do that by following the things we're inspired and drawn, excited about doing. Okay? And spiritual love is something that's more important for you to have than to share. But it is something you'll share. So, what type? Sustainable spiritual love. You're supporting someone spiritually. You're supporting someone in them discovering and shining their light. Okay? And it feels good for you to do that. Okay? And it feels good for them to get it. And they're doing it to you. They're supporting your material, your spiritual light. They're supporting the love you have for the universe. Okay? They're supporting and believing in the wisdom you have to say. So it's two-way. And it feels good when they do that. It makes you feel better about what you're doing, and even gives you more insights because you have their support. Okay? That's sustainable, two-way spiritual love. Okay? It can also happen that through people actually, their love and light is similar in nature, so they're working together to do this thing. Okay? So you'll see that sometimes too. So they're teaching classes together, they work on a book together. One person they do a relationship course, and one person is doing this part of the course, and the other person's giving this part of the course, or they're raising a kid together, and one person does this, one person does this, and then sometimes they do things together. Or they just go around as shiny, happy people and spread light, love and light that way. Okay? And there's always people looking for where love and light is to be found, to be inspired by that. See, when somebody sees Monet painting, they're inspired to paint. They're inspired to find their love and light, to find how they can spread love and light. And so inspiration is the most important thing we can give anyone, because that's the teacher of love and light. That's what shows a person where their love and light is, when they're inspired. Every reading you should do should have an element of inspiration to it, which is what helps a person find their light. And that's the most critical thing for everyone to do, because that's the anchor we need to survive the harshness of this world. And so that's it on a sustainable, committable level. Okay? Now, on the level of spiritual love, on the level of charitable love, yes, most of love and light is charitable. Okay? So you support someone's love and light who you're not, or you give love and light and wisdom to someone who's not part of your, who you don't have a committable, sustainable relationship with. Okay? So when a guru, all of his disciples, love and light to them, their disciples will go around and spread love and light to the people of slightly lower or less vibration than they are. Okay? The guru will get his charitable love and light from God. Okay? So the beautiful thing about charity is it wraps around in the big circle of life. Okay, the charitable love. But that's the most common type of light and love you see, is that. Okay? You can also have, that's commonly what you'll see. Okay? Hard love and light. Well, hard love. That's when you're hard on a person. You let them be in a situation of pain and suffering so they can find their light. Because sometimes the only place we're going to find our light is at the end of a very long, dark tunnel. And if that's the case, it's spiritual love to drop a person in it. Because spiritual love is about raising the vibration of everyone we know. And if that is capable of knowing it, okay, from you, to be raised up in their love and light through your love and light. And sometimes that means being really hard on a person. And Yogananda would often talk about how tough Sri Yukteswar was. I mean, Sri Yukteswar was hard love to his disciples. He would just be brutally hard on them. And through that, he helped them find the light of their souls. Okay? So doing something that's good for you, like a guru says, all right, we're all going to meditate for 5 minutes. 12 hours later, he says, all right, we can get up. That's hard love, right? That was good for you to meditate 12 hours. But first you think, oh, in 5 minutes I can go do fun things that don't hurt my back, that my butt's not hurting, and my stomach's not growling. And the guru wanted to make it really hard, so he said, we'll meditate for 5 minutes. And then 12 hours later, of hard love later, it was good for you. It helped you spiritually, but it sure didn't feel good. So a lot of spiritual love is hard love. And we really need to particularly give hard spiritual love to ourselves, more than we need other people. There's a point where people get to the point where they want to give themselves hard spiritual love, because they want to train. They realize it can be hard to push through things, and it takes work and effort. It doesn't always feel good to get to where they want to be. Gurus give it to their disciples as needed, and advanced disciples always give it to themselves. Okay? Because they know the fastest way to get somewhere is to work for it and to be drawn toward it at the same time. Okay? Saturn, spiritual love. Oh yeah, this is important. Anyone who's given love and light is always going to have to do this Saturn love. Love them and leave them. And that means recognizing that the light I have to share with people, based on my uniqueness, is not the light that's going to help them. It's not useful to them. So I'll leave them to the light of God. I'll leave them to the person that light manifests to them. But none of the light I've loved that I've shed on them, none of the light and love they've seen from me, none of the light and love that I am as an example has helped them. So I need to pay my attention in other places. And I love them and leave them. Like Sri Yukteswar did to that disciple. His light and love wasn't helping that boy. So he had to get rid of that boy. Okay, and leave him to God. So even like a exalted guru isn't the final say on what happens to a soul. It's always God, ultimately. So sometimes we have to leave people to the light of God in whatever shape that may take, when the light we have to offer isn't useful to them. And instead take that time to make that light useful to somebody else. Okay? Now, this means even little things. There's people, when they smile, they light up a room. I think that's the most basic love and light we all have to offer. Okay? I think the default love and light we have between two people is the conscious choice to have a child. Okay? But I think as individual people, the default love and light is just a beautiful smile and a wonderful expression directed at anybody. It can raise a person's vibration. It can be contagious. Yogananda used to say, smile at everyone, it's contagious. Frowns are contagious too, though. So some people have a willingness to give a smile to everyone they meet. I mean, whoever they meet, they're going to give this fantastic, award-winning smile of light. It's a rare person, but some people can do that. Everyone has a smile for sometimes. But if you can get yourself in a place where you are beaming with a smile, you're carrying love and light wherever you go. And it might not seem like much, but the beautiful thing about love and light, it works mostly on a subtle basis. It doesn't work on so much, it doesn't really work any better on a big mouth basis, which I am a specialist at, okay? It works even more powerfully, I think, on a subtle basis. One of the reasons we have so much struggle within ourselves is the very subtle negative things our parents did. The little frowns, the little hints, the little look in their eyes. That went into our psyches deeply. And those people who are never abused, who are never physically beat up, who are never sexually abused, who are never yelled at, who have deep psychological wounds from the expressions of their parents' face. And I think in lots of ways that's the most powerful impact. So if we can pull someone into the darkness of their deepest insides with those expressions, we can do the opposite with a smile. When someone sincerely smiles at you, you're like, wow, why me? This feels good. There must be something good about me. You raise yourself up and you feels good. And when we raise ourselves up, we step away from our fears of material fears. We get a moment reprieve for our emotional hole. That's when we get to feel our inspiration. That's when we can find the light of our soul. So simply having a presence of love and light, which is mostly reflected on our face, can make a difference in this world. Can make a huge difference in this world. And so it doesn't have to be this big, obvious thing. It doesn't have to be a best-selling book. It's about the lightness and love within you. It'll be felt. Okay? Won't be felt for everyone, but anyone who feels it should get it. And if it's useful, great. If it's not useful to someone, you don't have to do it. Okay? You can spend that time somewhere else. And I hope that conveys this idea of spiritual love. And it's definitely more metaphysical. I don't have as many concrete examples of it because, again, it's something that we don't see enough examples of. But I think when I think about where I've seen it the most, it's just the expression some people will give to others. You know, the beautiful expressions of one soul recognizing another. And that's what a smile can convey. You know, it can be a stranger, it can be a friend. And it's an important thing. I know people who walk around with frowns on their faces. They just walk around with these facial expressions that hurt to look at them. It hurts you. It's like, ouch. It reminds you of the pain of the world. These people don't have a lot of opportunities. You know, and they'll come up with some other reason of why life's not working for them. But a big part of it is simply because they aren't able to cultivate enough spiritual love to show a beautiful expression to anybody. If you show a beautiful expression to anyone, if you can find that light inside yourself, people are going to want you. Whenever you go, they'll ask you to do things first. You know? It's like if you've got 20 people to ask to do something, who you're going to pick? You're going to pick the person with the most beautiful expression. You're not going to notice the rest of them. You're not going to notice if their nose is too big or too small, if their teeth are straight or not. You're going to notice that light in their face. And you're going to pick them for that. So, it's just how it works. We don't want to underestimate that. And sadly, this is something that modern culture has forgotten. If I want to get a better job, more job opportunities, I need to unbutton a few buttons, you know. I have to get heel lifts and be taller. You know, I gotta lose a pound, tighten up on my midline so my hips look more useful to the world. No, you don't have to do any of that nonsense. You just have to smile and beam. And if you meet people who are, you know, that you might, from a distance, you might say, oh my gosh, that person looks really unhealthy and they're not pretty at all. And you find out how much good stuff is in their life. You see, it's because of their expression. It's because of the love and light that they allow through their face, that they found that really they don't allow it, they just can't help it coming through. But that doesn't mean everyone's going to recognize it. Don't waste it on people who don't recognize it. Okay, don't waste on people who can't see that, who aren't uplifted by that. Okay, because it is a gift to smile, give a smile of light and life to another person. Okay, and it's a gift to receive it. And unfortunately, we can get so immersed into the other parts of our life, into the fears of the material world, into our emotional debt, into our emotional pains, that we could not see those things in other people. And if so, our loss. That person has to say, I'm going to go smile where it matters. Because even your smiles are a precious light. And it's no different to smile at someone who doesn't get uplifted by it than it is to preach to people who want to throw rocks at you because they believe in something else. You don't do that. Don't go preach to people who don't want to hear it. Don't smile to people who don't want to see it. Okay? Unfortunately, people will make efforts to do things where they're not seen, where they're not going to be, to people who aren't going to be receptive to the light they have. And then it's not love. Because to be useful, you got to be open to it. All right? And we'll talk in later videos about the many, many reasons we might choose to do things that are not love. And that's one of them. Okay? I hope everyone understands that. You can always ask questions that I can answer on video in the future. Next video is going to be not that important, but it's going to be about sex on all three levels, just so we're clear on sex. Again, this whole course is about clarity. It's not about judgment. Go ahead, sell astrology, but don't say it's spreading love and life if it's all about your paycheck. And then you're aligned with yourself. You're doing something truthful. You're doing something consciously and clear, and you're building a foundation for a greater life. Same with sex. Don't lie about yourself, what kind of sex you're having, or what kind of sex you want. Understand what it is, and take care of it. And so we're going to have a class on sex next. And then we'll get into the stuff on how to put all this together into your lives. And that'll be, I think, the most important class. All right, thank you.